Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
Explore the lesser-known stories of our unknown world. Join the pursuit of the paranormal with Ash and Greg.
Hello Ash, how are you today?
Spliffing.
Spliffing?
Spliffing. I don't know where that came from, man. Spliffing.
I can see you and I don't think you are.
Oh, that's what that... Yeah, I didn't mean spliffing like that.
Well, anyway, how are you? You were spiffing.
Is spiffing the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I guess.
Not spliffing.
No, that's a whole different thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I don't do spliffing. I'm good.
Have you got over the heat wave that we've had recently?
Just about. It's still been hot the last couple of days as well. Obviously not as hot, but it's getting very, very muggy.
Yes, it is. And it's going to be hot again next week as well. It's super hot.
Awesome.
Yeah. So anybody who's joining us from outside the UK, a hot day for us is mid-20s centigrade upwards. And we experienced the hottest day in the UK ever a couple of weeks ago, which was 40 point something. So 108 or something like that, which is insane for the UK.
Crazy weather. All the train tracks failed, all the shops failed, had to close.
Yeah, they did.
Fires everywhere, like the south was just burning.
Working from home, though, stopped because people were going back into the office for the air conditioning. In fact, as long as it worked everywhere, that's the main thing.
Ours failed at work.
But I digress. So we are with something we haven't done for a while. Or we did Haunted Roads, where we just talked ourselves. So we thought we'd take the opportunity to talk about hoaxes.
Yeah. Particular UFO hoaxes.
Yes. And in particular, what motivates people to hoax, what are famous hoaxes, what people expect to come from it and whatnot. So yeah, this is going to be a good episode. I know we've got a couple of bits each that we've been talking about off air. So did you want to lead?
Yeah, well, first I thought we'd sort of lead with why people hoax. Because obviously serious people like me and you, we take the subject seriously and spend a lot of time, money, effort, hours and hours researching, investigating.
Yeah.
And when people do hoaxes, it just, I don't know, pisses me off, I guess.
And it adds to kind of like almost the ridicule that's put behind the subject at times, certainly by the media. And it pisses serious people off for definite. And it just makes light of what is, for some people, quite a dark time in their life, as we found out when we've spoken to people.
Yeah, exactly. And so we start on the sort of why reasons.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there about it makes a joke of it. People do it to take the piss.
Yeah, they do.
They see ufology as a joke, or sort of paranormal as a joke, and they think, I know I'm going to troll a bit. I'm going to make a fake picture, fake video, or even a fake story, just to sort of mess with the people trying to take it seriously. Obviously, I mean, we have a laugh, we are light-hearted, but still, obviously don't want to waste my time on something that's going to be a hoax. If it's a genuine misidentification, which most are, that's obviously fine. That's just part of the whole job. But when someone's purposely misleading you information or picture, that's when I'm like, that's what's annoying. And we've had a few on the podcast. We've had clearly hoax, fake videos sent to us and stuff, and it just when you have genuine people trying to share their experiences, and then we get blatant fake stuff being sent, and the person's lying, you're just thinking, why? What are they getting out of it? It's just annoying, really.
Yeah, because I think some people, the why bit for me as well is some people, again, it's part of it's trolling, they get that. But then you've got people, they know it will generate a bit of publicity for them. Some people want that little 5 minutes of fame. Or I think that somebody once said that everybody would be famous for 15 minutes. And I think some people use what is such a, same with the paranormal, such a difficult subject to prove either way.
Yeah.
That it's easy to hoax. I think nowadays it probably is slightly better, which we'll come on to about CGI and whatnot. But I think it's within the grasp of a lot of people now, and there are a lot of weirdos out there. But there are also a lot of social media accounts where clickbait, etc., is the driver. So I think probably back in the day, it was a bit of notoriety. Oh, this guy's got a photo of a UFO. This is an alien that he spotted or she spotted. Whereas now, you can, within 10 minutes, use some Hollywood video editing software for free and make a passable UFO video or something that you can't quite make out, and people can get that clickbait onto their YouTube channel and get millions of subscribers, and then the money starts rolling in. And so I think maybe the why has changed, but ultimately it's about becoming famous for something, in my mind, a lot of the time. And like you say, trolls are out there trying to belittle the subject, and I know there are some trolls in the UFO community, as it is with paranormal.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about YouTube channels there, and there's obviously a couple of very famous, hugely popular YouTube channels that is just 100% hoax, fake bullshit, like Third Phase of Moon, Secure Team, and they have millions of viewers, and it's like everything they do is to get the views, because that's how they make the money. And that's the 100% the only reason why they do it. And they know, obviously, these are fake videos. Obviously, they put them up, genuine video, blah, 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 all this shit, because it's going to get 1 million clicks on it. And it's going to get them however many hundreds of dollars in ad revenue from YouTube. And like that's, again, one of the whys is for the money.
Yes, definitely.
Through things like clickbait, or even if a story, like we're going to a couple of examples later, but like if a story gets legs, there can then be books come out based on it, films coming out based on it. Again, that all feeds down to money for the original creator of the hoax or the story.
Exactly.
And again, with a lot of it, you can't prove either way, especially some of the older stuff. And it's that sort of stuck in UFO lore that it's always going to have its fans, and there's always going to be detractors and skeptics and believers. But they're always going to sell the books, they're always going to sell the DVDs. And again, it's just coming down to money, as a lot of this stuff does.
Yeah, and I think nowadays it's a lot easier to clickbait things and get content out there, and you're just churning out content. There's so many new videos being uploaded all the time everywhere on multiple social media platforms, so you can see how quickly you can rack up quite a lot of views, even if it's called out as bullshit. In that time, millions of people, and ultimately probably a lot of them, are believing it, because you see it all the time in the paranormal field, where you can follow pages on social media and it's clear that it's something, and then somebody claims it's something else, and then everybody jumps on saying, yeah, I can see 4 people in the background and I can see a spirit of a dog. It's like, what?
Yeah, the blind believers, where it's just literally they will believe anything.
Yeah, Yeah.
And these people know that there's a lot of these people exist, so they know that no matter what they put out there, people will just blindly follow him and believe him,
Yes.
and will keep
Yeah.
clicking. There's a site, a UK-based site. I don't want to promote the name of the site. There's a certain Scott who runs this site. And again, the whole thing is just hoaxes and fake stuff. But for some reason, the national newspapers in the UK constantly print it because the headline is "Alien found on Mars," or all these types of headlines that make a cool headline. And I know straight away from the headline, I'm like, that's a Scott story, and it always is, And he has millions of views on his website, visits and stuff. When you go on there, there's also lots of ads that pop up.
Yeah.
So again, that's the reason why he does it.
Yeah, of course.
Because he gets the ad revenue from it.
Definitely. And it's a sorry state of affairs, but I think the people like me and you and the people we speak to and I call them experts, but the people that have got more knowledge in the subject than a lot of others and the sort of general public, they can see all that. And I think it becomes really frustrating when you see this content all the time and you know it's for clicks, you know it's for sensational number of views and ad revenue, and it's clearly that, and you see people. But the problem comes when people like me and you and others try and correct the information and say, well, actually, it looks like this to me, and you get shot down by the believers, the blind believers, because they tell you off for being negative. I get that all the time when I'm trying to provide some kind of rational explanation to what's being
why
seen.
are you in this group if you don't believe?
Yeah.
So I do believe. I just don't believe that one video is clearly fake.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just people, I don't know, sometimes some people to put stuff up not really knowing if it's fake, like a misidentification or something.
Yeah.
But then they refuse to believe there was anything other than what they thought it might be, because half of the internet said, yeah, actually I can see that weird space. I can see some kind of weird metallic shape in your, I don't know. I watch a lot of the like paranormal on camera, or like some of these top 5 UFO videos of all time. And I see these lights going over the centre of London. It doesn't even look good. And they're going, this user couldn't believe it when he looked up. And where's everybody else looking? Nobody else is looking up. It's just, no, and it makes it onto TV programs and it.
Yeah, there's I think I watched one on Prime, I think it was. I was just browsing through documentaries you might like, and it's top UFO. Let's just stick this on. It's 15 minutes long or whatever. Let's just have a look, and it's top 10. In fact, it's on Channel 5. I watched this one on. It's like a terrestrial national TV channel in the UK. And it was top UFO sightings, and most of them were CGI. There's one where there's just video looking out. It's a bit of desert land. There's this big ship that looks like it's out of District 9 or something. Comes across, and then it starts spinning, and this beam of light comes down, and the person recording it's oh my god, blah blah blah. It's how? Why? It's on Channel 5. Why? It's just daft. When we sort of talk about Photoshop, one of the other whys, obviously Photoshop is an art in itself.
Yeah, it is.
I think there'll be people that aren't necessarily trying to trick people or take the piss, but it's I want to test my Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
Or my editing or my photography skills to see if I can make people believe that this is a real video. So it's not they're not intending to take the piss or to properly deceive, but it's to see. I want to see if anyone actually believes that my video is real. If I'm that good at Photoshop.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's a good way of looking at it as well. I haven't thought about that. People just testing it out to see if they can make a believable video. Yeah, I mean, I've tried putting blurred photographs up that I've taken of our wooden table in a dining room and put it up on paranormal sites, and people going, "Yeah, I can see a demon." So what? Because there's those blind believers that because it's on a paranormal page and because it's not a normal looking picture, it must be. But then you've got people that genuinely, I think, genuinely believe. So they're not necessarily they're not hoaxers. They genuinely believe that what they're seeing is unidentified, or when it's clearly not. And it's a strange place, and I think the internet has brought people out like that. And like we've talked about, it got clickbait all over the place because it generates ad revenue, and newspapers love it because a nice sensationalist headline like "Most bizarre ET case ever. Watch a man probes live alien he claims to have captured." And that you get that kind of headline, and people go, "Oh, I'll have a look at that." Now, to me and you, who have got an interest in this subject, if that was the headline, almost straight away you're thinking that's some kind of clickbait. It can't be real. Because if it was real, it'd be all over the national news, surely. Spaceship over major American city, that would be newsworthy.
Yeah, and like when you mentioned there about people that genuinely believe, so like say not necessarily hoaxing, there's a guy in Australia and he's got a YouTube channel and he's hundreds and hundreds of videos of what he calls shape-shifting UFOs. And it's basically balloons being let off over Sydney Harbour Beach or whatever. And like it's like a popular area for people to release balloons. And it's clearly like you can see like numbers and letters, and even there's like string coming off the tassel.
Wow!
But he will. I do genuinely believe that he believes this to be shape-shifting UFOs. I don't think he is constantly, because he's constantly being told these are UFOs, these are balloons.
Yeah,
but he just can't seem to take it on board that they're balloons. He just something in him won't accept that, and he'd be out there every night just videoing more and more balloons as they tumble up. Yeah, you see, like it'd be like an 8 and a 0, like just tied together and flying off, and it's shape-shifting UFO, and he gets like thousands of views and stuff on his videos. When you know that the next video is going to be a balloon, the next video is going to be a balloon, but it still has these thousands of videos. So one thing I wanted to talk about, as we talked about CGI, is how to identify a CGI video, sort of the little clues that you can look for to think, this looks good, but is it a little bit too good? Is it genuine? And obviously, like anything, and a bit like, I sort of relate it to medical symptoms, where like if you have one of these, doesn't necessarily mean you have that condition, but you have all of them together, or the more that you have, like with COVID, just because you got a cough is a symptom of COVID. It doesn't mean you have COVID, but you have a cough with a loss of taste and struggling to breathe. The more symptoms you have, the more likely that is COVID.
Yeah.
And also, you don't have to have all the symptoms for it to be COVID. You could have COVID but not have the lack of smell or taste. So like these, so you look at these as symptoms where on their own, just you have one of them doesn't mean it's CGI. You could have half of them, but not some of the others. It can still be CGI. So it's obviously better when you approach, you look at sort of like a tick list. Does it like have all these different sort of aspects to it, or just a couple? Then obviously use that information together to work out if it is a CGI video or not.
And I think that's just harking back to some of the blind believers, that they will accept it on face value.
Yeah.
They'll see it and go, yes, that's what it is. And like you say, you do need to do some checks to see, to rule out things. And once you rule out everything that it could be, and you're left with whatever it is, however fantastical, it would remain unidentified.
Yeah.
But people stop at that first bit. It's up there. It must be true.
Yeah. What's the quote? Once you've eliminated all the possible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, has to be
Yeah.
the answer. Oscar
Yeah.
Wilde or someone, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
We butchered it a little bit. So this is a little sort of 7-point checklist. This is courtesy of In the Field. And if you've not heard of In the Field, his name is... Gosh. That's really bad. I can't remember his name. But he's good at, like, he's a skeptic believer. So he will obviously look at... And he's really good at giving examples of what things are, to explain, like, if it's like people post a picture and it's just a bird, he's good at posting examples of why it's a bird. So whereas I'm just like, it's a bird, I'm not going to go any deeper into it.
Yeah.
He'll fully explain why it's a bird, with examples and stuff. So he's a good, like, I think you can go on Twitter, In the Field. He's a good guy as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So this little sort of checklist is, so number 1, the video is short, usually 1 minute and 30 seconds or under.
Yes.
It's obviously the longer the video, the harder to sort of keep up the animation or make it believable.
Yeah.
Like that video we got sent that we put on our TikTok recently of the alien that somebody saw in Manchester. That was about 2 seconds, if that.
I think it was just 1 second.
Yeah, it's like a couple of frames, literally. So yeah, not much context to that either.
No, that's it.
Second point, the video starts and ends with the object in frame. So like when the video starts, it's already there.
Yeah.
The object is usually performing some type of activity that's not common in actual anomalous videos. Similar to what I sort of mentioned about the one in the desert where it just appears, it starts spinning, then a beam comes down. Like when you see a video of a UFO or a genuine sort of unidentified object, it's lights moving out in the sky or whatever. It's not usually doing full-blown actual like alien activity on camera.
Yeah.
The person who is filming doesn't make a sound or have any reaction to what they're seeing.
That's got to be a classic.
Yeah, there's one. It's one from a plane, and he was found out to be a hoax. He was just added CGI to. Recorded from not from a cockpit. Recorded from a passenger plane, just someone out the window, and it's just like silent, so you can hear the noise of the plane, but there's like obviously they're filming through the window, but there's nothing. Like no one's saying, "Oh my god, what's that?" or anything. It's just like no one's talking. Or it's just like general background chatter from other passengers. There's nothing. On the flip side to that, sort of over the top, bad acting. Like, oh my god! Look at this, or pointing to it. Always seems to be when you're like badly point at general location in the sky as well. Number 5, there's no information with the video, such as who shot it or location and date, which you find very, very often.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the general area.
Literally no context to the video. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 6, similar to what you mentioned about the one in London, if the video is over a populated area like a city, there are no other videos of it and no reports. Again, like something over the centre of London or New York or wherever, it's going to be thousands of people. And more than one person is going to record or see it. And to sort of prove this point home, was it 2 years ago? The Goodyear blimp?
Yeah.
People were mistaking that over New Jersey as a UFO. In the videos, like people were stopped at the side of the road. They were all out. They were all watching it, all videoing it, because they could all see it. So because it was an object over a populated area, and there's lots of people stopping, talking to each other. What's that? Taking videos of it. So that's say like if there was something there, more people are going to notice it.
Yeah,
In that
definitely.
case, obviously, it was a balloon, but that is a video and pictures that are still used as genuine UFO, despite the fact you can, one, prove that he was in the area at the time using the map. Two, you can see the screen where the writing's going across.
Brilliant.
But the blind believers would still
Yeah.
pass it off as a genuine. I still see it today. Like, what was it last year or year before that happened? And people still say, "Oh, UFO," and they won't accept that. Oh, just stop with the good year excuse. what do you mean excuse? Anyway.
Yeah.
And another one, the final point, and one that we've mentioned as well, going back to the clickbait of it, the video usually has some type of sensationalistic title.
Yeah. Definitely.
Again, getting the clicks, getting the people viewing it.
Just got to get those people just to start looking at your video, and chance are they might watch a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Same with the newspapers. I remember the the Sunday Sport or the Daily Sport. There was a headline saying, like, commercial airliner spotted on the moon. So what? Oh. But that's people will pick it up and go, "Oh, that's interesting." Unbelievable.
I just remembered his name. In the field is Scott Brown.
But yeah.
And the Twitter is S Brown with an E, ITF in the field. Make sure I credit him with that little bit of information we've used.
Yeah, definitely. And all of those points strike home with me. And you just go, I've seen so many videos with all of those, and they're proper hoaxes. I think that the fact that sometimes people, like you said, the classic one for me is the overreaction or the underreaction. That is a classic one for me. It's just like, oh my god,
bad acting.
Yeah. It's beggars belief sometimes. But people lap it up, so they'll keep making it.
Yep. And that's I suppose the good and bad side of the internet.
Yeah. You've got a lot of armchair experts out there. People like ourselves, where we've got that knowledge, or you've got the UFO knowledge, to sort of kind of go, well, actually, what about this? What about this? I know I've said to you before that I thought I saw something, and you go, like, MPAS is in the area, the police helicopters, and you go, okay, yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
But that's good that there are options for people to check out, like Flight Radar 24 and those kind of things, star maps that you can go, actually, that is Venus or that's Jupiter. And it looks bright and it appears to be moving, but it's not. It is, but that's what it is. And yeah.
Awesome. So if we move on to some examples now of
Yeah.
some famous and maybe a couple of lesser known hoaxes. So this first one I want to mention is probably kind of in the misidentification bracket.
Okay.
But people, someone say it's a hoax because it is something there, but people will keep trying to say something it's not. And that is the Black Knight satellite.
Oh, I've been intrigued by this.
So where the misidentification comes into it is that what people show pictures of the Black Knight satellite is a thermal blanket which was lost by the crew of the Endeavour spaceship when they were working on the ISS. It just literally fell out of the hull, and now it's obviously in orbit around the Earth. And then, but the stories around it say it's been there for hundreds of years. It can't, because these reports go back further than when the ISS was there or when the Endeavour was there, which is just, there's no basis, in fact, behind So it's like, yeah, there is an object there. These pictures of it are real pictures. It's just, even though it's been identified, people still try to, or will believe that it's this 1,000-year-old object satellite that's been orbiting the Earth for 1,000 years when it's been more like 40.
It's an interesting case, and you can kind of see why, because certain photos that you can see of this object.
It is interesting. I mean, it does look weird.
It does
the
look
shape
weird.
of it is weird.
And that's one sort of story, or one UFO kind of story that's piques my interest.
Yeah.
Without looking into it, you go, actually, that the backstory sounds really cool. But do you find that sometimes the story becomes so sort of repeated so often that it becomes the truth? So you've got like Slender Man, for example, slightly off topic, but Slender Man was invented by somebody, made up character on Creepypasta, and on 4chan and those kind of forums, and then it just becomes this scary entity that people see, and it just becomes part of folklore, as it were. And the Black Knight is definitely one like that, because when I was looking into it, when I first saw the picture and go, oh, it's been up there for thousands of years or whatever, and I thought, how do we know that? Because we've only had satellites within the last 100 years, so how have we ever seen anything? So, yeah.
And similar to what you say there about when something gets repeated so often, it's now sort of becomes true. And there's a certain combination of letters and numbers that I just despise. And it's
TR3B?
Yes.
How did I know that?
And like literally, that's just repeated so often that it just becomes ingrained in people, and they just think, "Oh yeah, TR3B, I've heard that." And yeah, because you just keep seeing it on the internet. That's why you keep hearing it, even though it's literally like a guy on the internet that just said these letters. There's no like thing to people say, "Oh, there's patents." It's all US building it, and it's military aircraft and all this. Like, no, it's not. It's just, I mean, people see black triangles. My sighting was a triangle.
Yeah.
I don't say I saw TR3B. I saw a triangle-shaped object.
Yeah.
And people say, I saw a black triangle last night, blah, blah, blah. People in the comments, yeah, that's a TR3B. It's like, one, if there was such thing as a TR3B aircraft, US, whatever, how do you know that what he saw was that aircraft?
Yeah.
And two, there is no TR3B. Like, just he saw a black. When I comment something, I gave up most of the time now. But when I do comment, people are like, "Oh, yeah, you're calling me a liar." Like, no, I'm not. Like, he did see something. I believe that he saw a triangle. But I'm not going to associate this name to it when we have no idea. And just, like I say, I wasn't going to talk about TR3B in this episode, but because when you say about how it's sort of become true because so many people say it, and it's just been there for so long now, that it becomes part of the truth, even though it becomes part of the fabric, even though there's no basis at all for any of it. It's just a very, very popular one. Which, again, like people will believe it, and it is like super interesting. And like people are like, oh yeah, they're developing this, and it's uses anti-gravity propulsion, and there's patents for the propulsion system. It's like, yeah, I mean, there has been patents, and you can go on the patent office website and you can see the patent for the triangular craft. It doesn't mean it exists. I could submit a patent to it. It doesn't mean I made it. It's just, and the guy that submitted the patent for this sort of anti-gravity, he submitted loads. His name's St. John or something, and he's done loads of like these sort of fantasy, high strangeness devices. And none of them have been like developed or proven to work. It's just, and then people say, "Oh, this is a patent on the U.S. Navy." Like, it isn't. It's look at who submitted that patent. Like,
Yeah.
it's just slight sidetrack for the
No, completely agree.
TR3B.
It is like you say, when it gets repeated and repeated and repeated, the people that from say a few years ago have sort of dipped out of the subject, but that the story still remains. I went on there, slightly digressing again, about the stories becoming folklore. I went on a course at work and they were talking, I can't remember the exact nature of, and I'm probably butchering this, but there was like this gang of monkeys, and they were told that if they touched this particular thing, they would get electric shocks. So they passed that wisdom down and said, you can't touch that because it will give you electric shock, or some words to that effect. And then over generations and hundreds of generations, somebody was like, why aren't we allowed to touch this button? And they go, because it will give you electric shock. But nobody had ever tried it or anything like that. It just become this thing you didn't touch because it gave you electric shock, but nobody had ever tested it out. And it's just like that. It just becomes the truth. It becomes the truth, regardless of whether anybody even has looked into it. But like you say, because there's a patent for this TR3B, so there's a schematic somewhere, doesn't make it a solid object. People say they're seeing it. Right, we put up a photograph on our page of some guy who took a photograph over London. Was it over London? And it was a 3-second exposure of a plane going over, and we knew what it was. We said what it was, and people were coming out with all sorts of things like it's interplanetary, interdimensional craft. I put a picture up. I live by Bryce Norton Airfield of a long exposure plane, and some guy was claiming that I was like, when I said it wasn't a plane, it's like, how do you know it's not a UFO? It's like, because it's a plane. But how do you know that? So I took the photo. But I still didn't believe that I was called a shill. I was called all sorts of things by this one guy. It's like, what fucking planet are you on? I took the photo. I know what it was that I saw. I told you it is what it is. And you still don't believe me because these people believe. Because it's easier to believe it than accept that you're wrong about something, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, true. Like some people sort of get so far into a corner they can't stop.
Yes.
Like even if they start doubting themselves, because they've sort of gone so far with defending it, they have to keep up that sort of facade to make themselves not lose face.
Yes.
Rather than saying, sorry, I was wrong. Yeah, I see. It could be this.
Yeah.
And then just move on.
But then when you try and point out to them on social media, people just not even open to even thinking that there's another option. And I think that can also be the case with these hoaxes as well. People just believe it. Doesn't matter. I'm not interested in what else it could be. I believe it's a UFO. So the Black Knight, I believe it is some kind of 1,000-year-old satellite that's been circling the Earth. I don't care if the ISS that's when it started and the sightings properly began around that time. It doesn't matter because I still believe the original folklore story. Yeah. Sorry, I went off a bit there.
It's all right. So I want to talk now a little bit. Like I said, we're going to touch briefly on a few different things. Obviously, anyone can there's tons of websites, articles, videos about each of these things we want to talk about. So you can obviously go a bit deeper yourself into
definitely.
each of these, but one of them, which is probably the most famous hoaxes, and that's Billy Meyer.
Yes.
He obviously goes back years. He had, we could literally do an episode on Billy Meyer, his whole story, his claims, the sort of cult following that started, the experiences, the videos, everything. But obviously we're just going to focus on sort of some of the photos that he put out claiming to be these ships that he'd had permission from the aliens to produce and show to the Earth, to give evidence that he was in contact with these races outside of the Earth.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, they've all been proven hoaxes now. I can't remember. I mean, was it the? I can't think how far back he's actually went originally, because I know it was quite a long time ago. I'm thinking
yeah,
like the
they're old
70s.
photos. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, they were used. He was using bin lids, lampshades,
Yeah, hubcaps.
tacks, yeah, to obviously put them in sort of positions and then angle the photo, angle the camera to give different perspectives on
you can get a false
like
perspective and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, and there's been quite a lot of work done to prove that it's hoaxes. There's like some really, really good work been done. Some really, really like, lengthy articles.
Yeah,
where people have reconstructed the photographs and shown how they did it, and like, they're identical to his photographs. And when they look at it in different lighting, and they obviously go through the photographs and change the lighting on it, you can see the dark to light and stuff. You can see where the hoaxing is.
Yeah.
But like, because again, similar to what you've been saying, he has built up this cult following that will blindly believe it, and no matter what evidence you put out, you'll always be attacked.
Yes.
By these believers that will call you all sorts because you're going against what they believe in.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention it as well because it's actually like a bitter sweet. Was the X-Files famous "I Want to Believe" poster?
Yeah.
I mean, I love that poster. A lot of people do. That was one of Billy Myers'.
It's a great poster.
Fake photographs is what they actually used for Mulder's.
It's quite ironic, really, isn't it?
Yeah. To be honest, it actually ties in with sort of what happened in X-Files.
Yeah.
Sort of like a foretelling, maybe. But they only used it for the first 3 series, and then Billy Meyer was like, he didn't have permission, and sued him, and then he had to stop using it.
I didn't know that.
From season 4 onwards, yeah. But then in the reboot a few years ago, they had permission and they used it again.
If you look at his photos, they look amazing. At first glance, they look amazing, and you go, "I've always been brought up there. If it appears to be too good to be true,
yeah,
it probably is."
Like something like the one with sort of looks like Christmas baubles going around. The thing is like I say, it's like if this is real, then it has to be the real thing.
Yeah.
And like the one where it's in the middle of the road with the beam coming off it, which I think is the lamp that is used to produce it with. Yeah, again, I think maybe because of the time as well at the time. And I sort of going back to where it sort of becomes part of the fabric.
Yes.
So obviously back then you couldn't just go on the internet. You had to get the books of VHSs, and when they all sort of include these pictures, it becomes part of the legend then, and that's how obviously it builds up, because everyone will get a UFO book out, because out of the few that's available.
Yeah.
And then they've all got these pictures in, because there's obviously not as many pictures there are now. So obviously there's now hundreds and hundreds every day being posted, where obviously back then you might see like a couple of month different UFO pictures or videos.
Yeah. And do you think though that some of them, because of the time that they all started getting released and they were coming out into the public, that people weren't quite as tech savvy as they are now?
Yeah.
Now people can go in and go, "Oh, that's bullshit. That's you've taken a photo from inside your house out of a window and you got the light on." Whereas back in the day, people are probably like, "Wow, that's because you've got like space race going on. You've got They Come from Mars and all those kind of films that were sort of fantasizing and playing up to the UFO and alien invasion type stories back in the 50s and 60s, that people probably a bit more, I don't know, accepting on face value what they're seeing, rather than even having the idea of where to go to investigate whether or not it's real. We've got such a wealth of information now. Like we just mentioned, float radars. We can see if a plane. I can see anytime. I can see a plane anywhere in the world that's flying. Find out where it's going, where it was come from, what its estimated time of arrival is, what its call sign is, how high it is. So immediately I can rule out a plane. Whereas back then, no such thing as the internet.
Yeah, I feel like say, with sort of the technology, someone would probably see the photo and be like, oh, it has to be real. It's a photo of it.
Yes.
Because he does think, I suppose, like, sort of some of the scams nowadays that generally sort of target the older people.
Yeah.
Where they'll receive a text or a phone call and think that is real. Like, it says my bank on it. It's got to be from my bank. Without thinking, is it from my bank? How can I find out if it's from my bank? They're just, oh, my bank texts me. I need to go on this link to stop my money going out.
Yeah.
Because they just think, they wouldn't, because it says it's from HSBC, it must be from HSBC. Yeah. It's a similar sort of thing where they're not sort of thinking, is it? How do I find out if it's from HSBC?
Yeah.
So that's sort of critical thinking ways to think, this is a photo, it's got to be real. Same type of thing.
Definitely.
Another name, pretty famous name, and he's got quite a outlandish tale as well. Phil Snyder. So he is the one that claimed to have been in the secret underground Dulles base with the fighting going on between the military and the aliens, and he put out a number of photos claiming to be in Dulles space.
Yeah.
That was actually a Japanese Navy underground headquarters, not a secret underground. I mean, I guess it was an underground base, but it wasn't where aliens were being present. And people, Dulles base again. I've seen stills from a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but people claim that this still was a picture of alien bodies or people being cloned in Dulles space.
I've seen that photo.
But it's actually from a movie. Yeah, that picture keeps coming up again. We're in relation to the Dulles space.
Yeah.
Sort of story that Phil Snyder talked about. And again, he got his own sort of infamy from it and has the believers and obviously the detractors as well.
Yes. Yeah.
But he was like diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was a patient of a state hospital in Oregon. And he would also like self-harm and stuff. He cut off his own fingers.
Jesus Christ.
So obviously someone that's not mentally stable.
Yeah.
And so again, maybe not necessarily hoax, going back to where we say people generally believe. So he could have generally believed that he was there and these are pictures. But obviously it's been proven that it wasn't. But then people, again, the same sort of story follows. People keep sharing it, keep believing it. Because it's a fantastic story. Like, I would love that. All these things that we talk about that we just write off. I'd love it to be true. Like, it'd be like, let's see, is what the whole reason we do it. Like
what could be better
something
than
like that is true. Yeah, exactly. So we get called like debunkers or like shills or like why here you don't believe. The whole reason there because I want to believe that this is a true story, that this is a true photo. Yeah. Because there's so many hoaxes, it muddies all the water.
Yeah, and you have to fact check as much as possible. That's why.
What's that? What's that film with Ricky Gervais where The Adventures of Lying, where no one can lie? So if it was a video of an underground base. Like someone claimed that had to be true because
Yeah.
no one could lie.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make
Yeah.
everyone's job a lot easier.
Oh, it definitely would. Definitely. Well, it could be quite a scary world, though, I suppose. If everybody couldn't tell lies, you'd be getting more out of the congressional hearings and all that kind of stuff, I think. But yeah, so it's like you say, these people create this world that they, in a sense, believe is true, which is kind of sad at the same time as it is. Like you say, it's not really like them faking it as such, but it is a form of hoaxing the general public. Because I've got one as well where it was a topic when I used to, back in the day, early days of the internet. I'd go on the Coast to Coast AM website, and there would be loads of news stories on there, all the UFO related stuff, and there was stuff about Area 51, all those kind of places on there. Like Art Bauer would put, like you could listen to Art Bauer's radio shows on there, and it was all basic websites. But there was one particular story that came up, and it was about Dr. Jonathan Reed. First of all, Doctor in his name makes him stand out as being a bit more respectable, I suppose. He might be like Ross Geller and be a doctor of paleontology or something, but he's a doctor nonetheless. Or Stuart in The Hangover, where he's not actually a doctor, he's a dentist, that kind of thing. But the doctor bit imparts some kind of credibility, I suppose. And this guy was out walking his dog in the woods and claimed to have an encounter with like this black, I don't know what sort of shape it is, like a diamondy kind of elongated diamond shape in the woods, floating. So he took a photo of it, found this alien body, took a photo of it, thought it was dead, took it home, put it in the freezer, and it escaped. There's photos and all sorts. People can do their own searching into it. And there was bits of metal with hieroglyphics on, which is ticking some of the, like the Roswell crash retrieval stuff, and the aliens look a bit like the alien autopsy aliens, and like a weird grey alien. So it's ticking all the right boxes for what it should be. And yeah, he claims he's getting death threats, again, being silenced, so that sort of adds a bit more weight to the fact this story's building up. But yeah, it came out that it was all a hoax, and people were able to reproduce some of the alien footage and so on. And I don't ever know what happened to him. This guy apparently had his memory and his records wiped. So it's very reminiscent of Bob Lazar type stuff, and Roswell. It takes a bit of everything from everywhere. A bit of Rendlesham Forest, where they find this shape, this craft in the woods. Great story.
Symbols.
It's all ticks all the classic sort of UFO encounter stuff to a T. But yeah, it will come out that some of it was like fake photos. The alien was made out of paper mache type stuff. But it's such a great video. And you just think, well, actually, I quite believe this. And some people, without the necessary nous to go and investigate it, will see it and go, wow, that's impressive. And you say it enough times and it all becomes a good backstory. And a lot of these have all got good backstories. They've all, by the time they're debunked, it's gone too far to debunk, really.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned alien autopsy there, the famous
Ray Santilli footage.
Yes, which I think obviously now We know it's obviously made, and they're showing how they made the creature and everything. And,
Yeah.
but at the time, it was believed to be a genuine thing. Whether Ray Santilli believed it's a regular thing, or whether he's part of it, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where sort of people up to with that side of it, whether he knew, whether he believed it was a genuine video.
Yeah.
That's obviously very, very famous, and obviously became a film in the UK, Van and Deck.
Yeah,
It's
it did.
quite a fun little movie that based around aliens.
Yeah.
See, when I was a kid, when I first started getting into the whole UFO thing, I obviously found the pictures. I believed it was real. I had them printed off in the file, like, as in, like, this is proof that aliens exist in a little. I put them in an envelope and had them in my bedroom, like, hidden. Like, this is proof that aliens exist. So I believed it was real. The photos and everything at the time when I was a kid.
Very convincing.
Yeah, it's a really, really good video. And again, there's been lots of work.
I heard that there was they'd interspliced some of this footage with the actual footage, so you didn't really know which footage was back in the day and was correct. I don't know how true that is. Like certain frames were alien frames, but interestingly, Ray Santilli also had the rights to another video of two UFOs over a crop field and going around and making these crop circles on camera.
Right.
And he was behind or owned, or however you want to say it. He publicized this video as well. Again, it looks CGI and fake to me personally, but interesting to note that he was involved in the second high-profile video.
Interesting.
Yeah, make of that what you will.
Coming a bit closer to home, to Yorkshire now, and that's not too
closer
far
to
from where
you than it.
I am.
Closer to you.
That's again quite famous. I mean, a lot of people don't know too much about the actual incident. They know the name Ilkley Moor UFO. And so the Ilkley Moor incident on Ilkley Moor in Yorkshire, England, 1st December 1987. So I was only 9 months old. Anyway, the image is quite famous.
Very.
There's a believed to be retired police officer was walking on the moor when he saw a small, odd-looking creature just up ahead, dark green, about 4 feet tall, long, thin arms. This creature apparently made a gesture at this guy, and then he followed him, and he then took aboard the craft, which is a whitish colour, consisted of 2 saucer-shaped parts that were attached. He didn't take a picture of the craft, he only took a picture of the creature.
Obviously.
And then he took aboard this craft, and then when he came sort of back down to being sort of back on the moor, he was 2 hours later than he thought he would be. So he was experiencing missing time.
Yeah.
He contacted UFO researcher Jenny Randalls and Peter Howe. If you use the same time, I'll start the whole thing again. Yeah, so the Ilkley Moor UFO incident, there's a guy walking along the moor, a retired police officer. He saw a small, odd-looking creature up ahead, big head, long, thin arms. This creature gestured at him. He followed him along the trail, and then saw this craft, and went aboard this craft. Did he go aboard? I think he went aboard the craft, did he? Well, that's only it's only later he went on board. That's why I'm getting me. So I'm getting some reading. I'm thinking, yeah, he did, but he didn't say it there. We were doing so well, so weren't we? Like
Not
an hour
too bad.
weren't many fuck ups. Yeah, so the Ilkley Moor incident, there's this guy walking along the moor, saw a strange creature, big head, long arms, just up ahead, gestured to him. So he followed him along the trail, and then he sort of realised he wasn't where he was, and it's now 2 hours later. So he underwent hypnotic regression, where he recalls being took on board this craft and experimented on, and he has a photo of this alien in the moor, which I don't think's ever been truly debunked. It is an interesting photo, but everyone's probably seen the photo.
Yes.
It's interesting. It is a bit blurry. It's not obviously high quality. It's back in 1987, so nearly 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is, I was born that year. That's a bit.
I was 10.
Making me a bit old. People claim it's like a cardboard cutout. I think there's a guy that claimed that he was actually him.
Okay.
On the moors doing some work, and it's just like a weird picture of him.
I think the fact that he's a retired police officer as well, that lends that sort of credibility to the story. Like we said with the last one, that they're a doctor or they're a retired military personnel. They're all quite sort of professional people who upstanding members of the community, should we say.
You know, I might forget the whole Ilkley Moor bit.
And it seems to be more complicated than it's worth.
Yeah.
And actually, we don't know if it's a hoax. It could be real.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right off. Yeah, just completely delete anything from Ilkley Moor onwards.
Yeah.
I've got one more that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
If you got any...
No, let's do that.
Let me get my information, because this is one I investigated.
Just the cardboard cutout alien.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good one, actually.
Let's get in my article up. So I've got the dates. So to end on, this is actually one that I personally investigated last year. So this sort of went viral on the internet, and it was an image that purported to be a little kind of reptilian creature just walking across the road at a park in St Helens in the north of England. And it went viral. It's on news websites. It went pretty much everywhere. This little lizard type creature.
Yeah, it does look very lizardy. Yeah.
This is February last year, 2021.
Was it that long ago?
It was that long ago, like 18 months ago. And at the time, I lived literally a 5-minute drive from this park. So we were during lockdown, but we were allowed like 30 minutes a day exercise. So I decided to take my 30 minutes exercise that day to Victoria Park in St Helens, where this picture was took. I mean, you can tell from the picture it's quite clearly a fake picture. It looks like a cardboard cutout when you look at the picture. But when you're that close to a potential alien sighting, you've got to go and, just in case, it's that 0.0001% chance that is real and it's on your doorstep, why would you not go and to that location and try and find out any further information? So, so the picture, I mean, all the things we talked about in this episode we'll put in our Pursuit the Paranormal podcast Facebook group.
Yeah.
So you can join on Facebook. So this picture, I found the exact road that it's took on. I found the exact location where the little alien was stood, as it's just casually strolling across the road. The same picture, showing the exact same angle, working out how big the creature would have been. And where I actually found where the creature would have exactly been stood, there was like a little pile of twigs stacked together. So, and it's different to how sort of rest of the road was. It's like they've been purposely placed there. It was like, so I believe this is where the cardboard was propped up
Yeah.
in the road. It's just this random pile of sticks on top of each other. And I believe that to be where the cardboard cut out was propped up. From looking at the actual image, just the black outline around the creature, which looks like it would be the side of the cardboard.
Yeah.
Would be. So the image is obviously a fake image. Now when we look at the person who reported it, and this is some interesting part of this, is that it was taken by someone, allegedly taken by someone called Melissa Braham,
Yes.
and there was a picture of her with the article that she had sent to the news website to say she had saw this alien. So my first thought was, who sends a selfie with a UFO report? Like we've received hundreds of UFO reports, and I've read hundreds and hundreds more, and none of them come with a selfie of the person taking the picture. It's just like a way, like, why would you send a photo of yourself with this image? So I tried doing some digging on the name and variations of the spelling, because there's different ways of spelling Melissa, and there's literally no one. A couple in America, but nothing in the UK, nothing specifically around St. Helens or anything like that. And also the picture of the person comes from a website called theydonotexist.com, which every time we just refresh the page, it throws up a computer-generated image of a human face. It looks like a real person, but it's not a real person. It's just a computer-generated photo, and the face of the selfie that's attached to the report is from this website. So it's a fake name, fake selfie, and a fake image.
Yeah.
But so the question with this is, there's no name attached to it, so they're not doing it for fame because it's
Correct.
not a real name.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for money because, again, it's anonymous, so someone is anonymously submitting this report. There's no way of getting in touch with the person who made the report.
Yeah.
No one knows who made it. It's just like a random picture, information, fake name, fake email address, fake picture sent to one of the news outlets. Could it be? I don't think they're taking. I mean, they could be taking the piss, but they've gone to a lot of effort to do it. They've gone out to the park. They've made or cut out this alien. They've got a fake name, fake selfie photo, and found somewhere to send it to.
Yeah. A lot of effort, like you say.
Quite a lot of effort. So it could be they wanted to see if people would believe it, and see sort of they will send it and then see if they can then, like, imagine you create something anonymously, send it somewhere, and then start seeing it in different places.
Mm.
Maybe that's the motivation. They want to see if it will start being going viral.
Yeah.
Just to see if no one will know it was ever them. Whether it's for that reason.
Is it a Banksy?
Could be.
Could be.
Might be branching out to alien cutouts. So yeah. I just wanted to briefly talk about this just because it's clearly a hoax. I knew that before I went out to the location.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit of fun. It was...
Yeah, definitely. And we discussed it, I remember, at the time. And then you was like, I was saying down the road for me, and I'm going to go and have a look at it and see what's what. Because like you say, if it's just down the road from you, there's no reason not to go. Even just, it's not wasting time either. It's just a good way to try and get more evidence as to whether or not it is a real picture. But then, like you say, you've got the fake picture, the name doesn't exist really, that kind of thing. And it all it's a bit like some of the other bits for the photos or the videos where you're not seeing the whole video, those kind of things. It's one of those sort of red flags. So I do remember that. That was a good story and something that we could you could investigate for yourself.
Because it was viral at the time.
Yeah, it was.
It popped up on like quite a lot of videos and articles. I was like, I've got to go and just
definitely
check it out. It's literally Victoria Park, St Helens, around the corner. I'm going to investigate this alien, this little tiny, like 10-inch.
Imagine
alien.
if you found convincing evidence that there was a real photo. That'd be even more weird. But
That would be weird.
Sadly, it was not the case.
No, not this time. Not this time. So yeah, I think that just about wraps up episode on UFO hoaxes and the hows and whys.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's good to have a discussion about it because it's something that we face in this field across social media quite a lot. So it's good for people to sort of have a listen and go, actually, next time I look at a photo or a video, I'm going to maybe think twice and reflect back on what it could be, rather than, oh wow, that's a great UFO video.
I think the one sort of mantra that I kind of go by in anything, not just this field, is the ABCs. So the A is assume nothing. B is believe nobody. And C, challenge everything. Someone's telling you something, or something is saying it's something, challenge it. Why is it saying this? What is the purpose of it? Is it genuine? Just ask yourself these questions.
Yeah.
And you might find out the truth yourself.
Absolutely.
Cool. So that's...
Sound like Jerry Springer at the end of an episode.
Talking about hoaxes.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much a fake, wasn't it? Every episode of that.
So yeah,
there's some
thanks for
aliens
joining
on that
us.
as well.
Yeah, there was some weird people, for definite weird people.
My ex-husband's girlfriend is an alien type storylines on there.
Yeah, clickbait again. You know it's not real. In your heart, you know it's not real, but you got to have a little watch just to see on the off chance that it might be. It might be.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for joining us. If you've got any other hoaxes that we haven't mentioned, by all means pop them over and it'll be interesting to have a look at those.
Or you have evidence that Billy Meyer wasn't faking it.
Oh yeah.
If Phil Snyder was in Dull Space.
Yes.
Let us know.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Pursuit of the Paranormal Podcast on Facebook. And you can chat to us, chat to other listeners, talk about some of the episodes, some of the stories, we post some UFO videos and stuff in there the members can watch and talk about, give your opinions on. So join us and we'll see you there.
See you later.
Pursuit of the Paranormal with Ash and Greg.